Why can't Tottenham ever have any fortune when it comes to injuries? James Maddison is out for the remainder of the season and could miss 3 months on the sidelines due to an injury. That is coming out from Paul O'Keefe. Thomas Partey is back for Arsenal tonight, and in my opinion, that completely changes the dynamics of PSG versus Arsenal tonight. Mohamed Kudas is heavily linked with a move to Arsenal, and Kai Havertz could be back if Arsenal make the final. There's also a lot of transfer news. Manchester United are looking at a new goalkeeper. Make sure you go down, drop a like on the video if you haven't already. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button. Of course, tonight's the big game, PSG versus Arsenal. We will be there for that. Make sure you go and check out yesterday's reaction to probably the best game of the season, Inter Milan versus Barcelona, 7-6 in aggregate. And we are 50 subscribers away from 52,000. If you haven't already, go down and hit that subscribe button. We are, I think, 92% of everyone who watched yesterday's match reaction was not subscribed. But I want to start with the breaking news coming out from Spurs, which is, I'll be honest, absolutely horrendous. Horrendous news. Our most creative player, our best midfielder, the guy that scored the second goal against Bodo Glimt, the guy that scored the winner against Hoffenheim away, 20 GA this season from James Maddison, and he is out for the remainder of the season. Alongside Bergvall is out as well against Bodo Glimt, and now there's even rumours that Dominic Solanke is a doubt for the game. That is absolutely a kick in the teeth. For me, we still have our back line. We've still got our front three. There's still enough in there for Tottenham to get over the line and reach the final. But without Bergvall and without Maddison for the final, we don't really have a lot of creativity in our midfield. And with the inconsistencies of Dejan Kulusevski and the drop in form from Dejan Kulusevski, I don't know who we're going to lean on now from creativity. You know, Son is working his backside off to be back potentially for the final if we get there. But at this moment in time, I'm looking at the game tomorrow night. I'm looking at our predicted lineup according to FootMob, and it doesn't look good, I'll be honest with you. If Bodo score early on, from a midfield perspective, if Bodo score early on, it's absolutely game on. It is game on for them. And our midfield tomorrow is expected to be Bentancur, Bissouma, and Kulusevski, with a midfield like that, which doesn't really heavily rely on creativity. A lot of our creativity is going to come down the right-hand side from Pedro Porro and Udogie. Van de Ven and Romero both fit. A lot of this team did not play against West Ham. That back line didn't play. Johnson didn't play. So a lot of those will be fully fit. Of course, Bodo had the weekend off. It annoys me that flipping they get to do that, but it is what it is. Massive game for us. If they score early, it's game on. If we score early, it's game over. Now, let me know your thoughts down below, your prediction for Tottenham versus Bodo. I want to talk about tonight's game because this return into the team completely changes everything in Thomas Partey. You know, Declan Rice has come out himself and said that he is better when he's next to Partey. They have to be up for it tonight. They have to be fully fit, fully firing, ready tonight. Now, PSG rested every single player other than Neves against their loss over Strasbourg at the weekend in a 2-1 defeat. Every Arsenal player other than Marino and I think maybe Ben White, and Lewis Skelly, every single one of those players played. Odegaard played, Saka played, Martinelli played. You know, even PSG rested Donnarumma. This is the predicted lineups for both teams. PSG, of course, will be massive favourites. Ousmane Dembele has been declared fit from Luis Enrique, so he's back into the team. Arsenal are a different force when Partey's in there. They have to score early. Arsenal must score within the first 20, 30 minutes to make this game on. PSG have already knocked out Liverpool. They've already knocked out Aston Villa. They could make it a hat-trick of knocking out English sides. I do think it's going to be a lot closer than people are expecting. I've seen some people saying that PSG are going to go and score 2 or 3 or 4 goals past this Arsenal team. That defence, even without Gabriel Magalhaes, is too strong. Lewis Skelly up against Desiree Doué is going to be an interesting matchup, as well as Saka up against Mendes. Mendes got the better of him at the Emirates. And overall, PSG really performed at the Emirates. They don't really know how to sit back. So Arsenal are probably going to have to do a counter-attacking performance like they did, similar to the win at the Bernabeu. They've got to be up for it. If PSG score early, it's game over. It's absolutely game over for them. And you look at the what's on the line for both teams. PSG could do a treble this season. They've already won the league. They've got the French Cup to play for as well. Ousmane Dembele, now that Lamine Yamal and Rafinha are out of the Champions League, people are now saying Dembele could be the favourite for the Ballon d'Or if they win it. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm still sticking my prediction. I was wrong about Barcelona versus Inter Milan. I thought Barca would go through. But I do think Arsenal will do enough to get over the line tonight. I don't know why I think they will, but I think they will. Some transfer news as well coming out from a couple of sources linking Mohamed Kudas to Arsenal, as well as Manchester United have added Moise Kean to their list of targets this summer. Of course, Manchester United need a striker. There is Moise Kean as well, coming up from a reliable source. Santi, who is a very, very, very reliable source. Now, Moise Kean has had a very good year this season at Fiorentina. He's obviously got a very, very important game tomorrow night in the Conference League against Real Betis. This season, he's got 23 goals and 3 assists in 41 games, including 17 in the league. Very, very good player. Didn't really work out at Everton. I think it is a bit of a gamble once again to go from another striker from Italy. It didn't really work out for Xerxes. It didn't really work out for Rasmus Højlund. But we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with regards to that. Now, of course, Mohamed Kudas, again, he's being linked with a move to Arsenal. Now, it's no secret that Arsenal do want to bring in a striker and a winger. His record in a West Ham shirt for me, look, he's a very, very good winger, but he doesn't have the output. Arsenal need more Mavericks. They've got Bukayo Saka in that front line. They haven't really got anyone else in terms of a Maverick. This season, 4 goals in 29 games with 2 assists. It's a really, really poor output this season. And in terms of his stats in a West Ham shirt overall, he's got 18 goals and 12 assists in 77 games. So 30 GA for West Ham, of course. Played in the Europa League for both Ajax and West Ham. Has got 33 GA and 62 in the Premier League. There is an argument that with better players around him, could he perform better? I think Arsenal need better players personally. I don't really look at him as one of their best options. I think Nico Williams would be better. Manchester United have added the 28-year-old goalkeeper Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, having a very, very good season at Torino, one of the standout goalkeepers in Italy. It's going to be interesting to see what Man United do. If they win the Europa League and they go out and they're heavily linked with a Victor Gyökeres, they're very, very close to getting here we go to Matthias Cunha. They bring in a goalkeeper of this ability. They bring in a couple more players. That they are, going to be a different force next year under a preseason under Ruben Amorim. It's going to be interesting to see how they get on. But let me know your thoughts down below. Now, Kai Havertz, according to plenty of sources, will be fit for the Champions League final if Arsenal get there. People are saying it's the return that Arsenal need. I honestly believe that when you look at this season for Arsenal, let's just call it what it is. It hasn't been a good campaign in the Premier League by their standards. This was supposed to be the year of they go and win the Premier League title, and for whatever reason that hasn't materialized. I do think, however, though, that with Kai Havertz back in, they are a different team in the Champions League. He scored big goals this season against the likes of PSG, etc. in the group stage. I'd be very, very interested to see what happens tonight, how Arsenal set up, and if they get past does Kai Havertz come straight back in from Marino? There's also people saying that potentially because they're going to bring in a number 9, Kai Havertz will go back to a midfield position next season. So that's if they bring in a number 9. And I wanted to speak on Morgan Gibbs-White to finish, because Manchester City, Fabrizio Romano has come out and said that Morgan Gibbs-White to join Manchester City, he's understood to be progressing. Sporting director Hugo Vienna has identified him as one of their main targets. Now, Fabrizio Romano tweeted out about Morgan Gibbs-White. I personally think, he's a very, very good player this season. He's been one of Nottingham Forest standout players. But we're talking about potentially him replacing Kevin De Bruyne. That is a massive, massive downgrade, in my opinion. It really, really is. I think Kevin De Bruyne is arguably one of the best midfielders the Premier League has ever seen. And bringing in a guy that's got 5 Premier League goals this season to be your creative spark, 5 goals and 9 assists this season overall in 35 games. I think they need a better player personally, but let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you drop a like, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all soon. I am out.